Good morning and welcome to Morning Java, which is brought to you by our friends at Get Go Cafe and Market, where the breakfast combo right now is $3.99, including a sandwich, hash brown, and a small coffee, Dale.
Or if you don't drink coffee like myself, you can get 2 breakfast bagels for $5. That's a heck of a deal. I will probably do that on my way to St. Vincent College.
I'm betting you will do that quite often, actually, out there on the way to Latrobe. Let's talk a little bit about baseball before we get to the football. The Pirates took a series at home for the first time since what?
Since mid-June.
Mid-June, for crying out loud here. They beat the Washington Nationals 2-0. The weirdest stat of this year, 10 shutouts for that pitching staff, the Pittsburgh pitching staff. How does that happen?
I don't know, but it's tied for the second most in the National League, which is shocking. You don't look at them and say, yeah, that's a good pitching staff, but they have 10 shutouts.
Yeah, it also, I think, underscores maybe that they're young. They are. That's not excuse making.
You're going to see some up and down, some ebb and flow.
Yeah, and they also do have actual talent.
Right.
With some of these guys. Trevor Williams hasn't been one of those guys. He's not got the best stuff.
But he's got 7 wins.
He's got 7 wins, and he'd been really struggling though.
He had been.
I mean, he hadn't been lasting, 3-4 innings in some of these outings, and for him to come back. Look, it's an inconsistent pitching staff. Don't you think they just have to kind of just keep rolling with this the rest of the year?
They do, and everybody expected Jameson Taillon in particular to take that next step, and that hasn't happened. And again, you're seeing a young pitcher dealing with some of those inconsistencies. The key to pitching is being able to win when you don't have your best stuff. And, when you go out there, you have to be able to battle. And sometimes the battle is with yourself.
And the other guy that we need to throw into the equation is Joe Musgrove, who's also shown a lot of talent and at the same time significant inconsistencies. So Dale, Neil Huntington told all of us that this is the week where they're going to determine what, and I know, okay, they just took a series from the Nationals. If they had swept that and then they were to go on to sweep the Brewers coming up this weekend, that it wouldn't make a bit of difference.
No, because
they're out of it.
Even if that happens, you're still 11 games out. Even if you sweep the Brewers this weekend, you're still 8 out.
So why does he say it? I have my own theory. I want to hear yours first.
I just think it's trying to garner some fan base, something from the fan base that just.
See, I think it's that he knew he put his foot in his mouth 3 weeks ago when he got all defiant about how we're not selling. The only conversations we've had are with people who are, looking.
Buying.
Yeah, we're buying. All our conversations are about buying. And then John Morosi from Fox Sports was at a report. I had my own about a week later with some names in it that were a little different than John's, but then these come out. He gets all indignant about it on his radio show and refers to reporters as spewing. You want to see me spew? I'll show you. No, this is actually really good. Game. I'll get you something. This is actually really good. I'll get you something that isn't good to spew. But that's the stuff that's important to them. That's what blows me away.
Yeah, it's really difficult when you're the players in that locker room, and he says, we built this to get to maybe win 82 games, and if we do well, maybe we win 88. Well, that's not going to get you. That's not going to win you the World Series. I'm sorry, it's just not. And don't tell me that the sky is purple when I know it's blue.
No, they do a lot of that. The Steelers and Le'Veon Bell have until 4 p.m. on July 16, which is Monday, to reach a long-term deal. Does it happen or not?
I think both sides want it to happen.
Really?
Which makes it more likely to happen. I hear a lot of people, there's no way. I wouldn't say no way.
Yeah, I don't see why you would think no way.
Because, there's a difference between this year and last year.
How so?
And that is, Le'Veon Bell now knows that at the end of this year, he's going to be 27 next year going into free agency. Last year at this time, he's going, okay, I'm going to be 25, 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I can still get a 4 or 5 year contract from somebody else. Now you're looking at it and going, okay, I'm not
I see what you're saying.
Somebody's not going to give me a 5-year contract. It's going to take me through 32.
Not a running back.
Not a running back. Not somebody else. Now the Steelers may do that because they know him. They know his work, work ethic and all that stuff. So I think there's a little more urgency on his part. I think the Steelers have a little more of the bargaining power this time around than they did last year. And I also think, I don't know that he realized, or I'm sure his agent told him this, how the Steelers do their contracts. If you looked at Antonio Brown's contract last offseason, he didn't get a big signing bonus. But then they redid his deal this year and turned more of that into signing bonus.
As you move along.
As you move forward. They don't like to give out big signing bonuses because then they can, rework the contracts down the road.
As they need it.
As they need to, yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Dale, I just look at the numbers, and I don't see this massive
it's not a chasm.
Gap
No.
there. You're talking about, what's the figure at the tag? 14.5. 14.555 something. Honestly, man,
yeah. You're paying him that this year. It doesn't it's not a huge jump to get to 15.
So all he would be doing by signing a long-term deal with the Steelers is locking himself into guaranteed money that if Vontaze Burfict comes along and takes another leg whip at him and blows out his knee, he's still locked into untold gazillions of dollars going forward in however much signing bonus is guaranteed.
Yeah, it's really that simple. And there's a difference between this year and last year as well. He knew he was getting $26.5 million, or 26.7 actually,
because of the
two
tags.
Mm-hmm. So that was his starting point. Okay, I got to get 26.7 guaranteed. Well, now you don't have that 26.7 guaranteed. Right now you're sitting at 14.5. Who knows what you're going to get next year? Again, more bargaining power for the Steelers.
Press conference on Monday. Dale, the World Cup final has been set now that Croatia has defeated England and, of course, France advancing over Belgium. Who you got in Sunday's final, Dale? Come on, bring it. Bring that wisdom.
Well, you're
the football guy, right? Football.
Well, first of all, don't worry, England. You still got...
You've got the best Twitter following ever.
I'm trying to think of what England has beyond soccer to hang their hats on, and
just a little.
Not a lot there.
Just a little bit.
It's not the food. Maybe we'll give them some beer.
It's not the food.
No.
London's awesome.
London's awesome. I love London.
London is awesome.
But
and
this is their event, and not this year.
Well, it's their game, as they're fond of telling everybody. But man, do they take it hard when they lose. I'm looking at the phone here for a reason, not to ignore everybody. If we think in Pittsburgh that our fans are rough on referees or focused on officiating or umpires or whatever it is, Dale and I are here to tell you that it is absolutely nothing. Do you want this one here?
This ref is so far up Croatia's arses.
Arses.
I can't tell where he ends and they begin.
Wow. And this was the only one we found that was clean.
Clean.
Why do fans, whether they are Pittsburgh fans or wherever else, fixate so much on officiating? Is it that big a part of any game, any sport?
It shouldn't be. And if you're doing your job as an official, you shouldn't have any kind of role in the game other than to officiate.
Officiate the game.
And if you're officiating it well, I mean, both sides are going to commit fouls. Both sides are going to make mistakes in the game. Are you going to see them all? Probably not. There's a human element there, but no referee goes into a game or official goes into a game saying, "I'm going to screw this team over that one."
Yeah, and it's almost when something bad happens officiating-wise, we will focus, including people like you and me, on like the Jesse James play, which, by the way, was called correctly on the field.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget that.
As the rule was written then.
Where the officiating will burn me up, it's not so much, did this guy, the referee on the ice, miss this call? Did an umpire, stick it to a rookie on the mound? Because the Pirates have some younger pitchers, squeeze a play, which I saw some of on the West Coast as it relates to the Pirates' younger pitchers. They really went after what was the kid's name? Clay Holmes in Los Angeles. I mean, he had to throw his strikes like through this get-go cup to get it into the catcher's mitt. What bugs me is when it's through an entire game, something that's sustained that's not being called properly. And the one that stands out for me is the Patriots never having been called for holding against the Steelers while the Steelers were getting called for it. And and I know
happens
every single
player
play.
In the line. Every player in the line holds it in some way, fashion, or form.
And for them to not call anything on New England, that burned me up way more, just from a fairness standpoint, than anything related to the Jesse James catch.
Yeah, and I actually rewatched that game the other day. I was in the office here and it was on, And there were 2 plays. Alejandro Villanueva late in that game when the Steelers got the ball back in the fourth quarter was called, I believe, for a false start and then a holding penalty.
He didn't like either of them.
Yeah. It was a hold. I mean, he hooked the guy and turned him.
But you know, and I know from talking to those guys, the reason they didn't like it was that they were the only ones being called for them.
Exactly. And
like they're
and
watching what
happen.
New England is getting away with out there, and they're like, "All right, I'll do it too." But then they get the flags on them.
Right, and that's where you have the interesting part of it all. Again, is that because of Belichick? Because of the the reputation that he has?
Whatever it is, it stinks. And when it happens, though, I'm sharing this because just to let people know that it isn't a Pittsburgh thing.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere who thinks that referees and umpires have their heads up their arses.